'Tis I, StarScream, the ruler of the galaxy, and you are the internet. I should put He-Man's sword down. He gets upset when I pick it up. Don't pay attention, He-Man. Nothing going on here. It is I, StarScream, and I'm here to answer your questions. And I got a bunch, so I'm going to run through them. I got a bunch of questions from Andy Ryan. And Andy says, "Are you StarScream?" Are you not paying attention, Andy? Yes, of course I am. Will the real Slim StarScream please stand up? Please stand up. Actually, I'm not going to stand up because I'm not wearing the legs. And then Andy asks, do I wait and tell him in the group to ask this question? That's a good question, Andy. As long as people are clear that they're asking me questions, and I can clearly understand, if they ask me questions on my YouTube or my Facebook page or wherever, I'm absolutely grateful to get those questions. So as long as I understand, then we're good. Andy says, did you make that suit? Yes, I did. How long did it take, he says, and have you any other suits? Well, Andy, I think if you have the time and energy and most especially patience, you can make a Transformer costume. It needs to fit you. There's a lot of things that go on with the outfit that are otherwise uncomfortable. It kind of pinches you in your manly bits. But anyways, I don't have any other Transformers suits because this one actually takes up a lot of space. And I don't think you could have a fleet of suits unless you had a big place to put them. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure you understand. Andy says, he gives me a bunch of questions here. He says, what is your favorite color? My favorite color, Andy, blue and red. Obviously. Actually, blue and red are the colors of my He-Man and She-Ra chessboard, which, I'm sure nobody cares about that. I find something dynamic about blue and red. Andy says, what is your favorite season of the Transformers show? When I made my Transformers storyboards, I used elements from a lot of Transformers shows, mostly from, I guess you could call it the first season, or even like to say the first episode of Transformers. But where I get my creativity from is a broader sense of what Transformers could be. And since I consider myself a storyteller, I don't focus on the canon of what has been done. I'm going to focus on what could be done. Hope that answers your question. There were things like Armada, Transformers Armada, and Beast Wars. I don't like Beast Wars. I understand there's some people who do, but I don't. For instance, in my storyboards, my version of Jetfire is much like the one in the Cybertron series where he's a Hercules jet. Just an example. And I also agree with Michael Bay on one thing, other than hot chicks. I agree with Michael Bay on the mass shifting thing. I don't know if you want me to run on about that, but no, I won't run on about that. I think that mass shifting only depends on what your story requires, not so much that the effect is possible or that there's any kind of weird pseudoscience that allows for mass shifting to happen. And all throughout all of Transformers, there was mass shifting until Michael Bay came along. And he was like, we're not doing that. I don't understand it. It's a bunch of science and stuff. And, Michael Bay is a moron. Not the best of Spielberg's stooges. But I agree with that. Anyways, he also asks, what is your favorite color of laser? Like my favorite laser? Okay, well, I brought an example, Andy. This is Red Alert. And Red Alert has a mounted laser on his shoulder. And, I like that adaptation to a Transformer. Not so much that they hold a gun in their hand, because if they're a robot, what difference does it make? You should be able to pull a laser gun out of any part of your robot outfit. But other than that, what are my favorite lasers? You know, I like the laser from the movie Real Genius. That's a good one. I think Barbarella had some good lasers. And absolutely the best laser of all was the one from Condor Man. I'm starting to sweat now, aren't I? Yeah, okay, so I'm going to turn these lights down. Then Andy asks, what are your thoughts on Unicron? And I think he spelled it unicorn. I'm going to forgive you for that, Andy. I don't know if you're trying to play me. What are your thoughts on Unicorn? You know, I'll tell you my thoughts on Unicorn. Orson Welles is a very, very large man. Oh my God. Andy says, what's Astrotrain like in real life? Astrotrain, let me tell you something, Andy. Astrotrain puts the ass in Astrotrain. Not only does he load from the rear, you know what I'm saying? Astrotrain, I mean, where the heck is he when everybody's getting blasted? You know, if you watch the Transformers 84 movie, everybody's getting annihilated, you know, throughout the Transformers show. No one was allowed to be harmed. None of the bots were being destroyed. But then the movie comes along. Everybody's getting blasted. We're being incinerated left and right. And where the heck is Astrotrain, I ask you, huh? Where is he? Well, I'll tell you where he is. He's floating around in space like a twat. He's floating around in space like some kind of conscientious objector. Okay? I mean, the guy thinks he's exempt from battle. Like he thinks he's some kind of a like a special medic or something. He's going to show up when everybody's blasted. Let me tell you something. Astrotrain is not a medic. He's not. Oh my God. I got another question from Teddy Blake on Facebook. He says, Starscream, why are you such a player hater? Listen, Teddy, it's not how you play the game. It's, it's, no. Listen, okay? Hate is an emotion, okay? And quite frankly, robots shouldn't have emotions, okay? They shouldn't. They should be robots. Emotions are pathos, okay? As opposed to logos, which is logic. And I try and balance logos and pathos all the time. But speaking of games, did I mention that I have a He-Man and She-Ra chessboard? Good question, Teddy. I don't hate the player, I hate the game. Nah, I like my game. Next question. Mike Thomo. Mike says, out of Megatron or Optimus Prime, who would you rather kill? Wow, now you got me thinking pathologically or psychological. Psychosomatic? Okay. Mike says, out of Megatron or Optimus Prime, who'd you rather kill? You know, I think we know this to an extent. If you kill Optimus Prime, then you get Hot Rod, right? And Hot Rod's got a hot head. You don't want Hot Rod around. I mean, frankly, if I had to fight Optimus Prime, I'd rather do that than fight Hot Rod. He's a dink. He's a stink. Flap. And you know, if you kill Megatron, if I were to kill Megatron, I'd become the leader. And then I'd have to lead stuff. I'm way too lazy for that. Can't you see? Besides, I already rule the galaxy, so there's no need to worry about whether or not I need to wipe anybody out. Hope that answers your question, Mike. And then Gary Duncan. He asks the question, what was it like being blown to pieces by Galvatron? So Leonard Nimoy shows up. They had to give him something dramatic to do. So they're like, hey, Leonard Nimoy, how about blowing away Starscream? Nobody likes him. And Leonard Nimoy was like, "Sure, can I have a cigarette?" And I had no idea what was going on the set. People have asked me before about getting blown to pieces by Galvatron. Clearly, I'm here ruling the galaxy, so all is not lost. And with TV shows and movies along the way, there's been no continuity at all. So I'm sure you can understand if StarScream is here to answer your questions, then Galvatron is not. And I'd like to say rest in peace to Leonard Nimoy. He's a great character. Our childhoods would not be the same without him. And let's see, can I do this? Can I do that? Yeah, I can do this. Yeah. And Gary also asks, what did the underbase taste like? Okay, the underbase is described as this incomparable, awesome power of godly, indestructible power. It's underrated. The underbase is underrated. Let me tell you, I've been ruling the galaxy for quite some time now, and I don't need any underbase or any underbelly or anything, anything under my belt. Hope that answers your question, Gary. And Michael Small. A couple Michaels out there. Michael's a good name. And Michael Small says, he says 3 questions. They're all connected. Okay. He says, when you built the Combaticons, how were you able to find personalities that were an exact image of you, but split into each member? Which then, why isn't Bruticus just a larger version of you? And then he says, does Bruticus represent what's going on in your mind at all times? So, Michael, I think you're talking about psychology or theos. I prefer to talk about mythos, as it strengthens ethos in all things. And again, balancing logos and pathos in pursuit of eros to avoid chaos. But that probably doesn't answer your question. The Combaticons, what do I have to say about that? When I was doing some 3D images for my storyboards, I made 6 Combaticons because I think that the Combaticons are a good example of many combiner robots that came along that only had 5 bots within them. And I'm a big fan of Devastator, okay? And Devastator had 6 bots comprised into him. And so I did this with the Combaticons. I made 6 bots, so I created an extra bot. And then also when I did the Protector bots, I added another bot. So now there's 6, and 6 is a nice round number. I like numbers. And finally, my last question. I'm going to touch He-Man's sword again. I have the not supposed to touch that. He-Man gets mad at me. King He-Man. I'm just going to confuse you. Okay, last question, Jason Lane, and he says, why does Cobra Commander, that guy sounds like you, he says. Yeah, well, I'm actually a bit of a baritone bass, Jason, but why does Cobra Commander sound like you? It's very hard to do, to get into that sort of alto position and then crack your voice. It's very difficult to do. I have a lot of respect for voice actors. They're very, very competent. Plenty of good examples of voice actors who can really do things with their voice that I wish I could do. But let me try again. Take over the Joe Base. It's very hard to do. You'll have to forgive me. I'm only the ruler of the galaxy. I don't do every voice in the book. And besides, that Cobra Commander guy, he's a ripoff. No, he's not. Cobra Commander is Cobra Commander is like this sort of simple, bland sort of bad guy that for a lot of evil villains it doesn't work, but for Cobra Commander it really works. he seems to be able to just be there and straightforward and evil, and you buy every cent of it. You think he's totally evil. Anyways, that's all my questions, and I'm getting sweaty. So I hope that helps you out, Internet. If you have any questions in the future, feel free to ask me. I am StarScream, the ruler of the galaxy. I won't touch you, man sword. And good day to you, Internet. Ooh, ooh, driving it up and it's cruise a while, leaving him far behind. Oh, you can hedge your bet on a clean Corvette to get you there right on time. Now if you're ready to dive into overdrive, baby, let the green lights on. Oh, it's like you're running away on some high octane. Every time she reaches the boulevard, won't you take a ride? Ride on heavy metal. Boom, 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 boom. Won't you take a ride, 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 ride on heavy metal? Boom, 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 boom. That's much better. It's the only way that you can travel down that road. Oh, satisfied on heavy metal. Baby, won't you ride, ride on till it's cool. Boom, 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 boom. Boom, 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 boom. Oh, how my, this lady can fly. Once she starts a rolling to leave, oh, you know you just can't lose the way she moves. You wait for her to finally release you. It's not a big surprise the way your temperature rise. You gotta get your red line fever. 'Cause there's just one cure that they know for sure. You gotta become the heavy metal believer. Won't you take a ride, 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 ride on heavy metal? Oh, it's the only way that you can travel down that road. Satisfied, fied, 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 fied on heavy metal. Baby, won't you ride, ride on till it's cool. Yeah. I'm crazy. Good night.